We have our guest here today. We'll introduce him in a minute, but we wanted to welcome everybody. It's Thursday afternoon. It's 2 o'clock. I want to welcome Jordan, my host. We got Roderick Lewis in the house from Primerica. We're going to talk to him in a few minutes. And guys, hey, if you haven't checked us out yet, we are right now streaming live on YouTube. I posted a link everywhere. If you want to chat with us, feel free to do so. You know, the fun part about doing this, guys, is when there's two of us, Jordan and I don't have people sitting behind us in a glass room moving all the buttons around, switching screens, and doing all the fun stuff. We're the manual guys that have to look up and down the right side of the menu and pull everything up. So there you go. So Rodreick Lewis with Primerica. Roderick, welcome.
Thank you. So thank you for having me today.
Hey, we're glad to have you. And one of the things I always like to tell people is our niche in this whole gig is to give small businesses a voice instead of having to go to a big production studio, which is great, all for it. You know, what we want to do is charge a small amount of money, have fun, and give people a chance to talk about their business in more than 30 seconds that you see at a network group meeting, right? We're going to get to know you personally. So welcome to the show. You are very active in your community, Roderick, right? You have, tell us a little bit about your family and what you're doing right now along with your job, okay?
Okay. So I am married with two teenage boys. They are active in school and in sports. So I also volunteer my time to coach youth sports. That is with the baseball with the Southeast Arlington Little League. And also I coach basketball in the off seasons with the YMCA here in the Mansfield, Arlington area. And I'm also active in my with my church and being out in the community.
So, awesome. As I talked to you earlier, I surprised you a little bit, so I'm just going to tell it real quick.
Okay.
I have a history with Primerica, and I'll tell you what that is real quick. Jordan, you may or may not like this, but we're going to share it. Give me a minute. So I graduated college in 1978, and I came to Austin, and then I moved to Dallas immediately because I wanted a job. And I went and got a job in a manufacturing, but I was in the front end store, the retail side. And a guy comes up to me after I worked with him in the store and said, "Hey, I think you'd be really good at working for my business, and I really want to sit down and have a conversation. You're a perfect fit for what we do." His name was Mike Tuttle. And he is part of A.L. Williams when they first started Primerica in Dallas on Midway Road. He's a legend. And his sidekick was a friend of mine, Randy Godfrey, started 3 months later. And both those guys today are part of the staples of the Primerica group. Am I correct?
That is absolutely correct. Wow, great history.
So, and the theme back then was buy term, replace your whole life policy, and save the difference. That was the gig. Okay. So Jordan, I'm done with my story. Okay. So I just thought I'd share that because that brought back lots of memories when you said Primerica. And I just remember those days of sitting up in the office with Mike and Randy and literally learning from those guys, you know. And of course, Mike's gone on to do great things. So has Randy. You know, I couldn't hang in there with it. It wasn't my cup of tea, but I'm glad I realized that. You know, it just wasn't my cup of tea to do that. So there we go. So Jordan, you're on, buddy.
I'm on. That's cool, dude. What year did you say that was?
1978 or 79, I believe, is when they started that office in Midway Road in Dallas.
Wow. That is so cool. That's, man, that dates back. I was born 9 years later.
Oh, great. Now I feel good. Now I feel really old.
You are a historian. Let's put it that way.
Whatever. Thank
you. All right. So let's get over the show. Roderick, you know, you told us a little bit about basketball coaching and just like what you're involved to. But, you know, we'll give you the floor so you can fill us in a little bit more of what you do. We'd love to hear a little bit more about yourself and also what you do, because, you know, obviously you're in the financial space. So tell us a little bit more about that too.
Okay, sure. Well, I grew up in Meridian, Mississippi. And once I graduated at 17, I decided to enlist into the United States Navy. So left for the Navy and ended up doing 20 years in the Navy.
Wow.
Once I, and that's why I learned a lot about leadership, teamwork, and basically saying coaching. My background in the Navy was I was a medic and hospital administrator. So once I retired from the Navy, I was in Yuma, Arizona when I retired, and I worked at a hospital as a project manager for about 2 years. I got laid off after 2 years. My wife decided to, she's from Texas. She said, hey, let's move to the great state of Texas. We moved here and I transitioned to the civilian workforce here. I was working with the Department of Veteran Affairs for about 6 years. And then decided on a career change and decided to become a financial coach with Primerica.
And what made you decide to switch? I mean, that is not a linear switch, right? And like you have all this experience in the military, experience in the medical field, veteran affairs, and now you switched over to finance. So that's a bit of a jump, right? So I like connect that gap for me.
Sure. So here's my why. In 2019, my father at Mississippi, he started having a loss of numbness in his extremities. So checking with him, with his doctor, they wanted to get a referral to a neurologist. So they had a referral for neurology at the beginning of 2020, but then pandemic happened. Everything was put on hold. So a few months later, he was able to get with the neurologist, and he was diagnosed with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease.
Oh, wow.
By that time, they said it had progressed pretty rapidly, where they expected him to have probably a year or less than a year to live. So during this time, I took off work. I went back to Mississippi to help mom with dad, and just had a hard conversation about finances. So I asked him, I was like, Dad, do you have any life insurance? He said he had life insurance, but then he canceled it. He thought he didn't need it. He had quite a bit of debt. He had a retirement account, but then he had dipped into it to pay some things off, and he did not have a will. So during this time of taking care of him, I was able to help him with get some, because he was a veteran as well, so I was able to get him some benefits for end of life, some disability things, and then also able to get his will done and take care of his estate. So after that happened, after he passed, moved back, come back to work here in Texas. And about a year later, my sister-in-law, she worked with a financial institution, and she introduced me to a financial coach from Primerica. And he asked me the same questions, basically the same question I asked my dad. And I couldn't answer. I said, you know what? I didn't have any life insurance. I don't think I had probably was a retirement account. And I said, well, I need to get my things together. So he helped me create a plan, tell me get my financial strategy together. And then he asked me, he said, hey, the way you helped your dad and things like that. I said, do you want to be a financial coach? And I said, sure. I said, you know what, if I had a need, my parents had a need, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people have a need. So I decided I wanted to be able to help fulfill that need.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is that man, that's profound, dude. That's an experience to go through. And
yes,
the fact that you're taking that and just now turning such a shocking event into something that you can just, in a sense, pay forward and help people with, like that's powerful.
Yeah, and I would say too, Roderick, that it's a good why, because when you go through something like that with your family, you can start to build a reason and a story behind what you do, right? And
yes,
when you start telling stories like that and say, we need a financial plan, well, you can go back and say, this is what I went through. This is where I was. So there you go. All right. Jordan, I think I put the next one up for you there, buddy.
Yeah. So now you're helping families deal when, just organize things, because finances are something that, like that I find that, it's not talked about a lot. Like, I don't understand why in our culture talking about money is sort of like frowned upon, but it's a very important thing, and a transparent, open talk, especially within families, is really important.
Yeah.
So, like fill us in a little bit about that. Like what kind of challenges are your families facing today and what's important for them to know?
Yeah, good question. A lot of families they're starting to feel the squeeze from corporate downsizing and just the higher cost of living. And you're right. It seems like they're not having these conversations at the kitchen table or in the living room. I noticed it seemed like sometimes some of the dads are trying to take care of things without notifying the family. They want to try to take care of everything and not alert everyone. But I think it's great to have that discussion as a family. And some of the challenges, looking at some reports, the average American, they've been reported to have about around $90,000 of consumer debt. This includes credit cards, loans, things like that. Student loans.
Mm-hmm.
Half of Americans are reporting that they're living paycheck to paycheck. Many Americans report they don't have any life insurance. And also a lot of households if there was an emergency happen, a lot of them said they don't even know where they would be able to grab $1,000 to take care of an emergency. So
Wow.
These are some of the things that the challenges they're facing today, and then also with the rising costs, the inflation is going up, right? But the income is not keeping up with those rising costs. So.
Yeah. And you probably know this better than I do, but I heard it said that since the beginning of all this financial turmoil, brought on by the pandemic and everything, we've lost around 30% of the purchasing power of the dollar.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Which is, it's like everybody had a 30% like pay cut that nobody's really aware of.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And there are some factors that cause that too. Just looking at some of the studies with there's a term we use called compound interest. And to know about it, it can be in your favor or it can be against you if you don't have a right strategy. Because if it's in your favor, you're investing right with the right compound interest, you can double your money. But if you have credit cards and the interest on there, it could put you in a financial chokehold there.
Yeah, and we in the old days we called it a inflation tax.
Inflation tax. I like that.
Because not only were you paying your normal taxes and paying for you're paying this higher level toward products and services that are way above what we're producing, right, or what our GP is. So wow. So yeah, inflation tax is what I call it.
Yeah.
That's the old thing, I guess. Not the new thing. I don't know.
But now you said my favorite word of all times in that statement that you said, strategy, right?
Right.
That's, and I often, like in the networking meetings, I tell people I'm a social media and a marketing strategist because I find that a strategy can make or break you, and a strong strategy can make you achieve things that other people would similarly think is impossible, or like you're pulling miracles, or in my field, people call it magic, which it makes me laugh. Just sprinkle your magic. Just do your magic. It's like, it's not magic. It's a strategy. Right. So tell me about a financial strategy.
Okay. Well, I like your term. You in your field, you use magic. So for me, when creating a financial game plan, I like to use an example of a house or a home. So just imagine if you were building your dream home. When building that home, does it make sense to start with the roof or the foundation? Logically, the foundation, right?
Yeah.
So the same thing with in the financial strategy, we believe your foundation is what we call the income replacement protection. And that's just a fancy word for life insurance. And life insurance is not the most attractive topic to talk about with families. It's probably why it's not had at the table so often. But just like your home, you want to have a strong foundation, because if you didn't have a solid foundation, you wouldn't feel comfortable in that house. So in creating your income replacement plan, it is to help protect that income, because life insurance is not really life insurance. Your auto insurance, the definition of insurance is to replace or to make something whole again. So for automobile insurance, it replaces your automobile. Home insurance replaces your home. So life insurance replaces a life? No, it doesn't. So but it is income protection. It provides income replacement. So we believe that is the foundation. And then the next phase of a financial house would be debt reduction strategy. Because like I mentioned earlier, financial debt can be a cancer. It could, a lot of people all their savings and things like that can go to trying to pay off that debt. So we're able to, with Primerica, we have what they call a strategy we use, and we're able to also be able to give a debt freedom date with our software to be able to input all the debt you do have and come up with a plan to pay the debt off, and give you a debt freedom date that we can have all your debt gone. And then the next phase of the financial house would be an emergency fund, because it's not a matter of if an emergency is going to happen; it's when. So we recommend having about 3 months to about 12 months of living expenses in case of if and when that emergency happens, because it's true that if an emergency happens and you don't have that emergency fund, you're going to go right back into the debt to trying to pay for emergencies using credit cards, things like that. And then so we're able to help with that with the emergency funds, emergency account, and how to structure that game plan. And then the next phase after that would be the retirement savings. That is your investments. With that, we want to be able to look at. We believe it's important to know have a target. Because retirement. A lot of people think retirement is an age, but that's not completely true. Is actually the amount of money you need to have by that age. So we're able to help by giving a financial independence number, and that's simply the amount of money you need to have by the age you want to retire to be able to live, have financial freedom, and to be able to live financially independent. So if you don't have that goal, you don't have that target, that number, how do you know how to get there? How do you know what steps to take to get there? So we're able to help with that. And then the final, the roof on the financial house would be a legal protection plan. We believe, that involves having your will, your estate planning, your trust, things like that. Because if you don't have those things in place, the government will decide where those things go. If you have kids, and they'll decide who they stay with, they decide where your assets go. So you want to make sure you also protect yourself with that. And we're able to do that we have a solution we're able to use. It's called a FNA, or a financial needs analysis. And what this report does, what it is a customized, confidential, complementary financial game plan to show them how we can help the families protect themselves and to become financially independent. While most financial advisors, most of them are charged anywhere between a few $100 to a few $1,000. We offer this complimentary in exchange for quality introductions to other families that could possibly benefit from what we do.
So, Roderick, a couple questions in between the next one Jordan's going to ask you is, I am hearing that a lot of companies that offer financial insurance policies are starting to suggest to parents that they buy a policy for their younger children at an early age when the premiums are low, so that can be paid off sooner. Is that a trend? Is that something that's going on more and more? Is that something you guys offer? Or is that just by specialty companies? I've just been hearing it. I'm just asking.
Yeah, so there's a trend that seems to be going on. You see a lot of these things maybe now on social media a lot. You see there seem to be a lot of financial advice going around on social media, things like that. But we do recommend just sitting down and being properly educated and really looking into what these programs, these policies offer, and looking at the fine line. Because I know for us, we offer, like as you mentioned, buy term and invest the difference. And with policies and add-ons and riders, we're able to offer coverage once the parents get life insurance, get covered and protected. We're able to offer a rider which protects the children.
Good.
Yeah. So then there's, that's what we also want to educate on. You want to make sure you have the right kind and the right amount when it comes to life insurance.
And my next comment is that how many people avoid talking to you or any financial person because they've been embarrassed because they got maybe to 40, they didn't do a good job of saving, and you might hear a little story coming out of me, or they made money but they didn't take care of it well enough. How much does it deter people to sit down because they feel shame that they can't do a lot of things? How do you work around that, or how do you say, look, we don't judge? What do you do?
Yeah, and so that involves me just getting to know individuals, and there's no pressure, no sale. Let's have a conversation, and that's why we believe the main thing is just like I said, to get the knowledge and get the understanding of what we do. A lot of times, my first initial conversation is just to show families what I do and how I've helped other families. And then a lot of times the conversation does come up, say, hey, well, this is what happened to us before. This is what I was told. And now we have that information on the table. Now I'm able to show, like I said, look at those things and then also get a better understanding, get that financial education. And so I do see a lot of some families, they're just a little hesitant to open up the hood and, look under the hood and see what's going on with things. But I just want, I want to talk to them in a non-judgmental manner, and just show what I'm able to help with, and then and try to do my best to help provide my services and advice. And a lot of times that's all that's needed for me, just getting that trust. Because a lot of times some family members have been misled. They have misled by friends and family, and they probably just didn't know any better. It could have been the way they've been taught. And that's why it's very important to get a proper understanding and know what you're being looking into.
Or we work for a company, that went bust because somebody bought them and went to jail for it, and you were stuck without your stocks.
True. Yes.
And I'm not going to mention the name, but I work for them. So I was one of those. So yeah, so stuff happens. Life happens, but you got to start. I guess the bottom line is you got to start somewhere. Correct. Got to start somewhere. Yeah. All right, Jordan. Absolutely. Sorry about that. I had to ask those questions.
It's I want to throw out a little bit of that because I think that you hit the nail on the head. That is what I think is probably the biggest deterrent. People probably feel I do not make enough money to warrant a financial advisor. Like I'm living paycheck to paycheck. Mm-hmm. I have debt. So my assumption is I don't have enough money to even cover debt. So what is financial planning going to do if there's not enough money to go around? Mm-hmm. And I would think that's the biggest, could be one of the biggest holdbacks because it's a perception.
Correct. And that's part of my when I sit down, when I do show how I'm able to help families. One of those things is to look at the budget. And they were so surprised when they realized, wow, you know what? I do have, some more money than I expected. I didn't realize I'm paying money for internet, or I'm doing online shopping. You'd be surprised how much money goes to that. Or, even if you're getting $5 coffee every day, that's $150 at the end of the month. When you look at that, look at the end of the year, how much would that free up to be able to maybe get you a good financial strategy and a plan put together to help with being properly protected, to help start paying off that debt where you can become debt free, and also becoming taking control of your finances and being financially independent. And it's not a quick solution or a quick fix, but I'm also able to show that, hey, you have to be patient. We have to have a plan and look further down the road. Look, it's long. This is a long-term process, not a quick turnaround, quick fix. So great point.
Yeah. And, especially now you have access to so many tools that can help people look at that too. You talked about like what you're spending on recurring payments, like looking into your financial statements. I mean, I just recently, and it's because I've been talking to financial planners, I got more into the habit of checking statements and especially now with AI, like you could literally ask, like many of the banks, you could just ask their whatever platform they have is like, hey, do you have any recurring payments? Like I just recently did that.
Yes.
Found out that Swift was charging me $37 a month for the past 2 years.
Wow.
For a service that I just never signed up for.
Mm-hmm.
Because Dropbox bottom, I gave them access to my credit card information that I used to to pay for my Dropbox, and they just automatically enroll me in whatever service they had.
Right. Yeah.
Quick call to the bank. Hey, here's like $400 back.
Yes.
And that leads to so many deep conversations, right, Jordan, with Roderick, and that is how many people actually sit down and have a calendar or something that shows their monthly outlay, their budgets, what they're spending on. Like I have tools I have to buy every month, right? So I have an outlay on my Google Calendar of every month what comes out. I track all that. If I don't need something, I cancel it, right?
Right.
And so my point is budgets. But anyhow, we got some more questions. So Jordan, keep going.
Yes. So
this is a trick question because it ain't going to happen. But if you did,
you're right.
And that's I like it because also it's a psychology question, right? Like, what would you do if you won the lottery?
Right.
Because that's there again. Like that's another like surprising statistic, right? What is it that they say? Like 90% of the people that win the lottery, like within a span of like 3 years, are right back to where they were.
Absolutely, that is true. That is true. So if me personally, if I won the lottery. My first thing I would do would be to sit down with my.
I heard you a car. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I'll sit down with my financial coach, and
yes, sir.
And it'll go to my financial house. It'll look okay. Let's I recommend every 2 years you should probably maybe even take a look at your life insurance policy because things could happen. You could kids could graduate. You maybe have a newborn, so you may want to increase or decrease. Those are all things that are customizable. Definitely want to make sure my debt is paid off. Go ahead and maybe I can increase my emergency funds or my emergency account in case the emergency, if and when that does happen. And also I can maybe add more to my my retirement account, and use the invest more, and that'll help with my financial independence numbers. So that's what I would do. And that's
Yvonne can back me up on this, and I've been saying for years, because it's not going to happen, but let's say it did. I already made up my mind. 95% of it would go to, there's 2 medical hospitals that I would donate for that help kids with the cancers and stuff, and the rest I would just do what you said. I'd find you and I'd say, where do we put this other 5%? Yeah. How do we manage this, right? Yes. I'd just give 95% away, be done with it, and say nobody's going to bug me because it's not going to be around to be bugged by. It's going to be taking care of kids and stuff in different hospitals. So that's what I do. Jordan, what would you do?
I think
you already have a Ford Mustang 5.0. You don't need.
I would buy a ton of nice cars, a ton of toys, and then
the rest. Exactly. Get a few things you want, and then figure out where to put it. Right.
Yes.
Anyhow, good question, Roderick. Thanks for loosening up the show a little bit.
Yes.
So then let's throw another hard one, right? Like, what's one of your biggest challenges in life?
Yeah, that is a good question. For me, one of the biggest challenges, I would say, for me is balance. And what I mean by balance, finding a balance in my, my spiritual life, with me going, so being active in the community, in the church, spiritual, my mental, and also physical balance. And also with my finding a good balance with my family. I want to be able to support my family, of course, by working, but I do want to make sure I spend quality time with my family. And also, and I'm active with the youth sports. So a lot of people, even my mom said, she said, "Oh, you do so much. You're doing this, you're going to that, and you're coaching. And when do you have time?" And I said, you know what? That's one of the challenges that I'm having is just to make sure I have the right amount of balance. Try not to overwhelm myself and take on too much that I can't handle. But I've always been like that. I really enjoy just doing things and using my time. I don't like kind of like sitting around too much. So, and I also need to try to balance my sleep, get a proper amount of sleep. But I tell you, it seems like there's not enough time in the day for the things that I would like to do. And I enjoy doing them also.
Herdy, what about you?
So uh, the challenge for me is 70, right? I roll over 70 in October. I'm not in my 20s anymore. So the challenge for me is to constantly keep maintaining my health. And I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I just got another message that I've walked 5,500 miles. I have now walked officially the whole wall of China in my walk program. I walked the Nile, was the last benchmark. So I love the exercise part. I love the challenge of what I do. It's amazing in technology, especially in the marketing side. Um, how much information gets thrown at you and how much learning curve there still is even today. So, and I love the dogs. We got a dog, and Yvonne and Simba and myself, our dog Simba. We're homebodies. We hang. We enjoy that aspect of it. So, and the challenge right now for me is my family's. I have some family members really struggling down in Austin with some health issues. So it is going to be a very rough next year or two for us. So, yeah. But the prayer and the relationship with Christ and these kind of things, these things that keep us posted to the ground, so to speak. Most people will never see me angry or upset in public, but I have my moments. you know, I, I I'll throw a few cuss words at somebody or something. Because things sometimes life gets to be in the way. You just got to fight through it. And what about you, Jordan, since you put me on the spot?
Right back there.
Since we're having a 12-step program now on air, let's go.
For me, the biggest challenge I have is a fear of failure.
Ooh.
So that's like, it's crippling. So I have to constantly work at that because I don't like to fail. I take it personal. And I don't like feeling like I'm failing, which will cause me sometimes to avoid insight.
Yeah.
So, when I'm talking about families not wanting to talk to a financial advisor because maybe they feel like they're failing, like I can totally relate to that because I've been the person that doesn't want to look at the banking account because I'm in debt. I don't want to look at the result of the last campaign I ran because I know I didn't do as well as I wanted. I don't want to get on the scale because I haven't been to the gym in the last month and I don't want to I don't want to know how much of progress I lost. It's having that the willingness to just face the your failures and embracing them, but it's a true challenge because logically up here I know it's a good thing, but down in my gut it's still just knots up every time I'm oh, I know I didn't do right.
Yeah, that's interesting, Jordan. You say that because I don't think there's one single person that's ever run their own business or anything in life, right? When we're congruent at something, we're really good. We'll do it all day long, but when something's incongruent, we won't touch it. We'll avoid it like the plague. So you're not the only one that goes through that. Believe me.
Right.
Good point though. Great share. Okay, that 12-step program's over. I'm just kidding.
Okay, so now I honestly I think you've answered this question as you've taken us through your story, but to give you the platform, why are you passionate about what you're doing?
Yeah, it was from my story. Like I say, just it hit home with my father. Like I said, he was in excellent shape. He was even in his 70s, early 70s, he was still bragging about he could still run a mile, he could still do push-ups, and with the ALS, that is just a debilitating disease. You have no pain, but you just lose your motor skills and your in the feeling and things like that. So neurologically, so. That really hit home emotionally, and then try to look at the financial part. It was an eye opener for me because I didn't know Dad kept it in. He didn't tell us he had some debt. I don't think he didn't tell Mom there were some things that he had not paid. Even with he canceled his life insurance. We didn't know until that time came. So, just think about others, and I, being a Christian and being Christ-like, I hate to see people struggling and going, just feeling pain and, even having kids, I hate to see my kids get hurt. So I try to do what I can to just, try to help someone. And, I think it's just the mind of Christ and trying to have that mind of Christ and to be compassionate to others. And, the golden rule, try to do to others as you would have them do unto you. And, that's one of the main reasons why I'm passionate about what I do. And a key point, what you said, Jordan, about, not failing and things like that, me stepping out on faith to start this business. I talked about it for a little bit after Dad passed, and then it just, things happened where I met the financial coach. He said, hey, do you want to do this? And I said, yeah, I do. And then, I stepped out on faith, and my oldest son said, Dad, he said, you want to be a financial coach? He said, do you want to become a millionaire? And I looked at him, I said, yes, I do. I said, how could I not tell my son that I do not want to be a millionaire and I'm a financial coach? So that, that's another reason I'm passionate. I want to be able to show them that I can be successful by helping others and starting a business. I want them to have or see an example of an entrepreneurial spirit and starting a business. And because after working with the military 20 years and then with the VA, it's like, I'm giving up probably like 95, almost 100% of my energy to help someone else. I said, let me use that percent to help myself and to start my own business and work hard for myself. So that's my answer.
What I love is that you found a way to take that energy and focus it inward so it can help you, but you have not lost the ability to help others. What you found is a way to both help others and help yourself in the process, which is wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not helping yourself, you're not filling your own gas tank either. And there's been a lot of confusion over the years about the difference between being self-centered and selfish, right? And you have to fill up your gas tank or you can't help others too. So it's kind of a balance. Like Roderick said earlier, it's all about balance. So last question, Jordan.
Yes. So, we got the expert on the line. It'd be crazy not to ask you this, right? So what are some ways that we can take control of our finances?
So some ways to take control of your finances. The way to start it off is to get knowledge, to get an education, to become financially literate on finances. And I do offer a webinar once a month called How Money Works. I think that's very important because, these are some things that we're not taught in school about saving. We may taught how to balance a check, but do we know proper ways to save? Do we know about compound interest? Do we know about the rule of 72? So I think it's a mindset, just having that mindset. Also with that mindset is to not be ashamed. Don't feel embarrassed to take a look because, we may have made some missteps or things happen in life that may set us back. But the thing is that we can always start. You always want to be able to realize, what, I made some mistakes or missteps in the past, but I can start right now and make a difference in my in my financial walk. And so that's the main thing. Get an education, financial education, and just become educated. When you become educated on financial literacy, then that can make a big step in creating your financial strategy and sticking to it. And that's a lot of things too, is sticking to the plan. Sometimes we'll start, just like we do subscriptions. We may get that gym membership at the beginning of the year. A few months later, I'm not going to the gym no more, but I still got the subscription going. I didn't cancel it. So those are just some things, some ways.
And so, Roderick, you mentioned a webinar you do to invite people to. Is that on your website, or is that? I've got your website up right there at livemore.net.
Yes.
Your
so
name.
It's not on my website. So the way I do it is once I set the date, I'll start posting it'll be word of mouth.
Okay.
Like some of the meetings I do, and it'll also be on my social media accounts. So you'll see it
Perfect.
on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, and I tell and I'll send out to my friends on the through text and say, hey, share it with some people you may know. So it's all word of mouth and that free advertising.
Yeah. So I just put up his email account, Roderick Lewis at Primerica.com. I'm going to leave it up for as we end, because if you guys want to reach out to Roderick, right, and talk to him, at least have a meeting with him. He is part of the Mansfield Network Group. He comes every week. We appreciate it. Guys, we are on every Thursday live from 2 to 3. And if we lose you during the live show, it's no big deal. We'll have you right back on in two minutes. No big deal. We love live because that's exactly the kind of thing that makes for a cool show. Is it's not pre-recorded, it's not pre-rehearsed, it's not perfect, and we love that. So, hey, everybody, Jordan, Roderick, thank you guys. Y'all have a good day. We'll see you around the corner next Thursday at 2 o'clock. Come join us on YouTube Live. Thanks for joining us on the Mansfield Buzz. Y'all have a great day.